Hello, sisters. I feel like I'm learning a skill, like I'm learning like endurance reading or something. I hope it's obvious to everyone that you're supposed to come to this stream after. I'm not sure. We can be like patient. Um I'm actually losing people somehow. Okay, well. The first thing I'm going to do is read the comments from the last video cuz I don't know if it's obvious to you, but I'm kind of trying to do like an audiobook. I don't want to like stop and talk and stuff. Um like I know the quality, especially today, is not the best, but I kind of want to make like audiobooks of books that are like, I don't know, obscure or something. I mean, obviously this book is not obscure. It's like there's PDF online, but this was like this book was just supposed to be like my general world history of lesbian stuff before I got into it with like the nuns and whatever. Okay. Welcome, sisters. Yeah, shut up. What the fuck? Why can't you guys see the video? I can't see the video. Like, I wanted to read the live chat because I think people were commenting on stuff. Or not people, women. Feel free to ask me questions and stuff of this nature. Dragon, are you quoting song lyrics of some kind? What is that? How is it only 6:30? I feel like it's midnight. I do need to go to sleep soon though. Okay. So I opened the last video. No, shut up. Don't start talking. I'm just going to look at the live chat quickly. Unless I'm not. Why is it so like this? Oh my god. Okay, well, I guess if I want to do that, I'll do it next time. Okay. Just because, okay, no, I actually, like, I really wanted, because I was talking about Germany, and then I know there was, like, at least 2 Germans who were commenting. Why does it have to be like this? It's kind of good if I look for stuff on my computer for a minute, though. I'm using, like, a bit of a break. Like, did you notice my mouth stopped making, like, the right sounds? For some reason, I couldn't pronounce, what was the word? Precarious or precious? Or there was, like, some word that, like, I tried, like, 5 times to pronounce it, and then I was like, this is actually, like, embarrassing. I need to move on. Okay. Maybe it takes a minute for the live chat replay to work. Oh, well. I wonder if next time I should, like, leave that page open and then open a new page and start streaming on that. Because you can, like, once you've ended the stream, leave the page open. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we're not seeing the live chat from the last stream. That sucks. Okay. Stop lying is like, I do need to sleep soon. Don't say that. You'll be here for 3 hours. No. It is 6:42 and I need to be at work at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm definitely not staying here for super long. Just wanted to do a brief couple of thoughts I had about this. Okay. First of all, I just read like 42 pages. So if you were like, when is it going to be over? I also felt like that at some point. Commutatio, whatever commentary you had about things to do with the gay bars of Germany, I assume you were commenting on that. Can you please like type the gist of that into this live chat? I thought I could see the other live chat after it's over, but I think it takes YouTube a while for it to like be there. Okay. I find the whole schoolgirls thing very interesting because I think it's pretty relevant with the whole like it's just a phase, like it hasn't gone away. It seems to transpass time. What the that's not, is that a word? Transpass, whatever, transcend time. And again in this chapter we saw the notion that masculine lesbians are lesbians and feminine lesbians are like normal women who are capable of lesbian sex and relationships and attraction and stuff, but it's like not necessarily a thing for them. Dragon says I hate Canada. Are you talking about that specifically because of like gay bars and stuff because you were at the reading, or you just mentioned it generally? Okay. Oh my god, this phrase. There was a couple phrases that I was like, okay, this is so poignant. So this is in the section about schoolgirls. I was just looking at it. But girls were so ignorant of sexuality that they did not recognize this activity as sexual. Like when the girls were basically hooking up with each other. Oh, you're commenting on the Nazi shit. Honestly, I'm basically gonna gloss over the Nazi stuff. It's so fucking upsetting. I really wish I have my lesbian separatist flag somewhere. For those of you who don't know, the lesbian separatist flag has like a black triangle on it. And the black triangle is to commemorate the lesbians who were killed by the Nazis. So Komatashio says, so I was saying that the quote unquote asocial is still a common insult in Germany, especially against poorer people or those of low status. It is more used as antisocial though, as in you're bad for people. That's very gross. Like, okay. I don't know much about Germany, but I know that, German culture very intentionally like separates itself from association with like Nazi everything. So it's strange to me that, well, I mean, I guess people use whatever words they want to use. That's like the world, but creepy. I find it so bizarre. So bizarre. This entire book, it's mentioned in that book, it's mentioned in that book, like a bunch of different books are like, yeah, lesbianism and prostitution are like intrinsically linked. Okay. Like sexual behavior and sexual orientation are not the same thing. And so like I probably most of them were bi or something. I don't know. But like I don't know, I find that very strange. And like this, like I think it was in the section about the Harlem Renaissance where it was like butches would protect their femmes from the Johns that the femmes had, like as if prostitution was like completely like normal. All the lesbians did it. Like it's really disturbing to me. Komodachi says, like, you would be on a school playground and have kids insulting each other as asocial instead of saying, like, you're an asshole or something like that. A separation of Nazi history is there, but nobody can escape from history, right? Yeah. I really want to come to Germany. And actually, it's kind of annoying to me that, like, I can, like, form German sounds with my mouth, but actually, like, trying to read German or whatever is, like, a disaster to me. Whereas, like, other languages, I'm, like, fairly decent. It's kind of, like, annoying because I'm German, so I should be able to fucking do that shit. Okay. Well. Wow, I'm really fucking tired. Like the mother tongue thing. You only learn language because it's around you. I was never around German, really. Dragon Kittigan said, when I was open-minded, many of the women I dated were prostituted women. I'm not saying that there's no overlap. I obviously know lesbians who are, like, exited women, right? And when I was a teenager, all of this, like, sex workers that I knew online were bisexuals. So, like, I'm not saying it's nothing, but I just find it, like, disturbing. Because, you know, if lesbians are categorically not attracted to men, any sex they have with men is, like, against their nature. And it's for money. So that means that they're doing it out of financial hardship. Like, it's rape, basically. That's what I'm saying is rape. Every time they bring up, like, lesbians and are prostitutes, I'm like, so you're saying the lesbians are being raped? That's your like, obviously all prostitution is rape. But, like, just, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always, like, it's, like, in the back of my mind. Okay, let's keep moving along here. So the schoolgirl thing. But, like, okay, yo. Literally, in Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier, there's, like, there's at least 3 different times where she is like, yeah, girls have crushes on other girls in school, but, you know, like, the boys are immature, and it's like, it's just a phase. Anyway, reading all this stuff about the schoolgirls and being like, was it sexual and romantic? Or if it was romantic, could be romantic without sex, and, like, is that really lesbianism? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it literally so evocative of Abigail Schreier's lesbophobia. Okay. And, like, again, these fucking Japanese dudes, some Japanese sexologists emphasize that romance rather than the sexuality of schoolgirl friendships, considering them a normal phase of harmless love play or a preliminary step or practice run for heterosexuality. Dude, this entire fucking book, like, in, like, the second chapter, when they're talking, I think about, like, harems and whatever in the East, you know, big fucking rich dudes who, like, own many women or have many wives, and it's always like, why are the women doing the lesbianism? Because there's no men, because they're preparing for the men, because they are, like, practicing for, like, everything's about the fucking man. Every action, it's, like, leading towards the man. Like, these fucking men can't see past their dick. Anything they have to say about lesbianism is fucking irrelevant. Like, literally. Okay. Should I kind of feel like, I don't know. What do you guys think if I do a live stream from sitting in my bed? Would that be weird? The issue would be getting the camera to stay still. I just think it would be, like, a very chill environment. I like having, like, chill videos. I hope you guys feel like this is chill. Kiara says, I don't believe in having romantic attraction / interest in someone completely devoid of sexual attraction. Yes, and especially for women, because we know that women's physical attraction, like arousal, follows emotion, right? So especially for women. Like, in a way, the early sexologists of, like, the 1880s to the 1920s that she's talking about in this chapter and the last chapter are, like, positing the split model, the split attraction model. For those of you who didn't grow up on Tumblr in the last decade, the split attraction model is that you have, like, sexual attraction, aesthetic attraction, romantic attraction. Is there another one, or it's just the 3? Yeah, sexual, romantic, aesthetic. I think it's those 3. But they're trying to say, like, you know, like, pan-romantic, homosexual, like, you're romantically attracted to everyone, but you're only sexual, this kind of thing. Which is just very confusing and makes no sense. Stop Lying says split attraction is such bullshit. Yes, agreed. Dragon Kittigan says, "Oh, you picked up on lesbophobia too. I never read her book, but she came off as such a lesbophobe." I think her book is extremely, extremely misogynistic and lesbophobic, but we're so used to like the Andrea Long Chu breed of lesbophobia, you know, or misogyny, you know, like we're so used to looking at TRA misogyny that now when there's like the more like traditional lesbophobia and misogyny, like reading Abigail Schreier's book, the misogyny and lesbophobia reminded me a lot of like the kind of lesbophobia you would encounter in like the 90s and like the early 2000s. It's like a kind of like under the radar. And also you have to remember when you're reading Abigail Schreier's book that this book is for conservatives. People who read The Federalist, they're the ones buying this book. Okay? So you have to think of like, I don't know if dog whistle is the right word, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that when they like hear that tone or that exact vocabulary, they will interpret it as like in the most misogynist, homophobic way possible. Whereas we might read that stuff, and because we are not like fundamentalist, religious, conservative, misogynistic homophobes, we just kind of gloss over it. And I think it's missed on us. A lesbian friend of mine who grew up in a like really homophobic environment and is like 15 years older than me. So she was like more familiar with like the 90s versions of like homophobia, was like that the whole book is like that in her opinion. So Stop Lying says, "I'm glad I grew up before the split attraction stuff. I had enough trouble realizing / accepting I was a lesbian without it." Yeah. Okay, let's keep moving along. So, these stupid Japanese sexologists, well, all the sexologists are stupid. All these fucking men thinking that everything is about their dick. Like every action a woman takes with her body to do things that make her happy, even when there's no penises involved, it's about his dick. Somehow. Shockingly. I wasn't at all surprised, okay, wait, no, I don't want to jump ahead. So here's Great Depression, talking about stuff in Japan, the China stuff. Let's see. I was actually really surprised. Okay, so um, in China and Japan, it's like a very patriarchal culture, right? Um, where women are really, really taught to be demure, like to the point of like their body movements being different because they're like taught to move less, like really, really extreme, especially like farther back. So I was very, very shocked by the May 4th writers writing explicitly about being lesbians. Not because I'm shocked that like individual women would do that, but the fact that it seems like their stuff was published and they weren't like arrested or like she doesn't mention like that they were like mobbed in the streets or something. I'm just very surprised that they behaved in this like unfeminine way, right? Like just like vocally speaking out about stuff, and they didn't face like major huge repercussions. I mean, maybe they did and she just didn't cover it, but I was surprised by that. Also, I think it's a bit weird. What's the next chapter about? What's it called here? The next chapter is called A World of Difference 1960 to Present. Okay, well, it might be covered in that. But when she's talking about the women's movement, so she goes from like, when does she start talking about the women's movement? It's like like 1912. So the women's movement section is like, like 1920 to 1980. I was really surprised that she didn't mention like the lesbian collectives and oh my god, what do you call them? I've forgotten every single word I know. like it's like a house, a bunch of lesbians or feminists live together, like a collective or a co-op or whatever. There was tons of those, like right in the 70s. It was like their heyday. And it's like there's one specifically for Black lesbians, one specifically for Asian American lesbians. Like they were really, and they published tons of literature. I'm really surprised that she didn't mention them. I'm just assuming she's mentioning that because this whole chapter is about them being public and like organizing in groups, right? And so that's like them publicly organizing in groups. And so I'm just assuming she's mentioning it in the next chapter. Um, I find it interesting. So the obviously the Chinese feminist movement of the 1920s is not, that's like first wave feminism. Um, the blue stocking, okay, Lu Yin's fascination with the sexuality of the brothel, reminiscent of the Blue Stocking Society's Night with the Geisha, and her erotic attraction to the bodies of Japanese women, suggests that the feminist concerns of the May Force women. Wait, that's not the right thing. Okay, but whatever. So there's two different women that the author brings up while discussing these Chinese feminists, the Blue Stocking Society, and someone, just this writer who came after them, um, who, oh no, that was in Japan. Sorry, I'm confusing. She talks about the feminist movement in Japan and the feminist movement in China, and both of them, she brings an example of either a woman or a group of women visiting a brothel, and how this is like a lesbian thing. And I'm like, but it's very strange to me because okay, so she even mentions that basically like the women who were doing this like feminist movements in China and Japan in like before the 1920s, that they were like elite, right? So just to me when she was talking about this, I was like, so they really have like zero self-awareness of class. They have like zero class-based analysis. I know this predates like dialectical analysis and feminism and like Marxism and whatever, and class-based analysis and everything. But like it's just crazy to me to be like, what were they fighting for? They were fighting for women's rights, but then they like went to like a economically desperate woman and exploited her. Uh, okay. I'm kind of annoyed that she mentioned gay men so much in this chapter, but I understand why. She's trying to give you like context for like society at the time. And I also appreciate that she mentioned that like the gay men really outnumbered the women in these organizations, and these organizations are basically by and for gay men even if they nominally included lesbians. I'm glad she mentioned that. Um and this one, I'm just going to read this quote again. Here, where do we see it? Who it's from? Djuna Barnes, like Barney, a lesbian American in Paris in the 1920s, described the heroine of her Lady's Almanac, modern Amazon modeled on Barney, as a female who was developed in the womb of her most gentle mother to be a boy, but who came forth an inch or so less than this, yet paid no heed to the error. Um, I mean, I guess it's just heteronormativity, but um, they've really, like, it was just so heteronormative. They basically were like, you're masculine, so you're like 1 inch away from being a boy, but you're still on the girl's side. Just very reminiscent of queer theory. Um, Here is this. Barney had experienced same sex desire at a young age, learning with something of a shock while she was still in her teens that others considered such tastes perverted. She described her desires as entirely natural or sometimes, quote, naturally unnatural. I consider myself without shame. Albinos aren't reproached for having pink eyes or whitish hair. Why should society hold it against me for being a lesbian? It's a question of nature. My queerness isn't a vice, isn't deliberate, and harms no one, end quote. She made this argument in like 1920. I just find that like kind of ahead of her time. I mean, I know there was like gay men in Germany talking about this shit in like the 1890s, but I just mean, I don't know. I appreciated that. Okay, I'm gonna get through this crap because we are only halfway through the chapter and I've been talking for 25 minutes, and then I'm gonna look at the live stream show. Okay. Um, I also found it interesting. All of these women being like, "Yeah, I don't like bars. They're like gross and loud, and it's like dirty or whatever," and being like, "Oh, I like the like salons or the private parties or the like poetry readings and stuff." I am definitely in the latter category. I don't drink alcohol at all. Um, and I don't like loud shit. Like I have very sensitive ears. Not like very, but like definitely I bring earplugs to that kind of crap. And but I don't know. In the book, the tone is kind of like the educated women were like looking down on the uneducated women. Um, which I guess was probably accurate. But that was really interesting to me. I also found it very interesting talking about in the US how the bars were like racially segregated originally, obviously like in the 40s and 50s. And how like in the 50s and 60s they like my god, what the fuck is the opposite of segregation? But whatever. They all mixed together. And I don't know. What I found interesting in this chapter was there was a lot of discussion of like class. And by the end of the chapter in the 80s, it was like there was like less of a separation of class among the lesbians. Like their solidarity with women of their class didn't overshadow their solidarity with lesbians of any class. That's kind of like the impression I got like throughout the chapter. Um when they were talking about this Barney, this American lesbian who moved to Paris, who had her salons. It's like so she got with this painter Romaine Brooks. Okay, eventually she formed a partnership with the painter Romaine Brooks that lasted more than 45 years, although the relationship did nothing to slow down her conquest, causing Brooks much unhappiness. I literally thought of Shane. I was like, what if Shane married Carmen? She would still be hooking up with random chicks, and Carmen would still be. Okay. Um, this book talks about the well of loneliness so much. I really need to read it. Um, I find the so this constant relationship um between like the bohemians and the artists and the homosexuals is very interesting to me. Um, like it's not new, obviously, but I kind of wonder, like chicken and egg, you know, is it just because there is so many like gay men and lesbians in the arts that it's like a comfortable place for us, or like, do you know what I mean? Like historically, like if you look back like 300 years to like now, how did it get that way? Okay. And in this chapter too, every chapter almost, since there's been like the formation of the concept of like an entity that is a woman who is attracted to women, because that isn't in like the first two chapters really. Like in like in that periods of time they didn't conceive of it that way. But that there's always this idea of like oh, I've heard all these bad things about lesbians. Lesbians are like these gross, evil, mean ladies. But like, I just love this woman. I'm not a gross, evil, mean lady, so I can't be one of them. Like, it was brought up again in this chapter, and it's just like, again, it's like very prescient to like the alienation. Like, it's like a constant, unending alienation that lesbians have about their own sexuality, their own bodies, and their own community. So I talked to this gay dude from Toronto a couple months ago. Like, I met up with him, and actually, maybe it was in the summer. That's more than a couple months ago, isn't it? Anyway, and he has been in Toronto since 1965. And he said that back in like in 1965, the way that bars worked, and because of like the laws, so there would be like gay bars, and they weren't really like for men or for women, because what it was is that you had to like walk in as like a heterosexual couple, and sometimes there would be cops outside looking, and if the cops came in to like raid it or check it, they would all group up into heterosexual couples, like gay men and lesbians. So he was like, you would see groups of like lesbians and gay men like waiting around at the front door, like partnering up to go in. Um, and then they would like, obviously separate when they were inside. And then if anything, they would, go back. And he also said that there was like bars that had back doors so that like unaccompanied women could enter by themselves. Um, yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Because she mentioned something in here about gay bars in Toronto that kind of was the opposite of what he told me. But he also told me, like, I don't know fuck ton about lesbians because, lesbians and gay men have always been, like, very separate communities. And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I love also in the, when she talks about Toronto and she has, like, the uptowners and the downtowners, and that's kind of like the elites and the working class. That to me was very reminiscent of, like in the gay liberation movement, how there was like the streets and the suits. There was like the radical activist types who were like, let's fuck in the streets so people know we exist. And then like the people who were like, we need to like have respectability and like change policy and like grow resources. Like I don't know, it just reminded me, it was reminiscent of that. Um, oh, also, I wasn't at all surprised. I don't know, I find it a bit confusing. Um, when there's like these lesbian groups, like the old school ones, like at the time of the homophiles, like pre 1960s, 70s ish, all the lesbian groups that existed, for example, Daughters of Bilitis, they were really looking for respectability. So like I think even Daughters of Bilitis, one of their like original like mission statements or something like that was like how to integrate like the fact that you're coming to terms with you're a lesbian, and how to like get along in society. So like how to be a lesbian and figure out what to hide and how to hide it and how to like deal with that. Anyway, so but it was talking about some of these the early lesbian groups in Germany, and how they were like critical of masculinity. And to me that's very weird because like just by numbers alone, that seems like weird. Like it's like, oh, they mentioned at some point, like, yeah, here, the state liquor authority. At one point, the U.S. had this. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like the liquor and morality committee or some stupid fucking name. But basically, the entire purpose of this government department was to shut down, I think it was specifically in California, but it might have been nationally, I can't remember. The entire purpose of this organization, of this government department, was to shut down gay bars. And the way they would do that, what is the TV thing behind me? It's a cat bed. Momo is like over there. She's like been comfortably not moving the entire fucking time I've been on YouTube. So she's been there for like 3 hours. I'm not gonna bother her. But yeah, so this alcohol authority, they were set up specifically to shut down gay bars. So the way that it worked was gay bars obviously couldn't operate if they didn't have a like liquor, because like that's the essence of a bar. So they would go into these bars, they would entrap gay men, or they would find like informants, like they would like arrest like a homo and bring them to the police station and be like, we're gonna like get you fired and publish that you're like a gay and you'll never get a job again, blah blah blah. Like basically we're gonna ruin your fucking life unless you tell us what's going on in that bar or who the other gays are. And then once they had concluded that there was homosexual activity happening in the bar, this was grounds for like that the bar was like enabling lewd and lascivious acts, and so this was a good reason. This was the reason to take away their alcohol license. So it was set up to be like this like alcohol board, but the only thing they did was shut down gay bars. Like their agents were trained how to go into gay bars and entrap gay people, and that's like most of what they did. Okay. Also, is it Weimar Germany? And what in the fuck is that? The Weimar years. So it's a time period? I've never heard of that before I read this today. I found it interesting, the censorship stuff with the German lesbian periodicals compared to the stuff I know about the Canadian censorship of gay and lesbian stuff, like publish content pre 1980s. Weimar. Okay, thank you. Um, oh, also, I just love this specific. Um, I love this specific phrase here. Where is it? Our voice must be heard to keep watch over and reveal the common aspects of our reality as women and assert our differences as lesbians. I thought was wow, like very, yeah. I'm kind of annoyed that the stuff about the Mexican lesbians was like one fucking paragraph. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna read into the live chat a little bit, and then I think I'm gonna be done because like I'm very very fucking tired, and I have to be able to crack it on tomorrow. And Tuesday is my longest day. That my two jobs like are back to back. Dragon says I didn't read her book because she came off as lesbophobic and I didn't want to support a woman who kind of hinted at women being predators. It turned my stomach, and so she pissed me off. Lita says this is an effort. This is about Abigail Schreier now for anyone who wasn't here a few minutes back. Lita says, yeah, she did kind of mention female predation, yet gushed over Buck Angel, eye roll emoji, how together and successful he is, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Kara says, can someone clue me in on Schreier calling lesbians predatory? I don't know if anybody said something in the live chat. I can't give you like a specific example. I just like I know that there's stuff in her book that definitely has that tone. I don't keep track of her tweets, and I haven't read any articles by her. So Dragon says, I really think any woman who works in sexology and is so reductive as to reduce our sexuality as something that can be compared to men's sexuality simply because we are attracted to women. Okay. Um, Beansprout says, like, these sexologists come from a psych background and then they call themselves neuros as well. Neuropsych was a real field I wanted to go into but didn't, and for real, they over they overinflate this shit. Yeah, Dragon is saying that she doesn't like either Debrasso or Cantor. Um, I'm pretty sure that Cantor was like Debrasso's PhD supervisor or something. Like they're very, very close. When I've talked to her before, she said that he was her mentor. Integration. Thank you so much, Pinwheel. I'm very tired. And also, that word doesn't come up much in Canada. Okay. Kiara says straight people see themselves as the default, so it's hard coming across one who doesn't make any sly or subtle homophobic remarks. Yeah, I agree. Beansprout says they're not neurologists. Understanding the cognition of the brain, etc., all vary in the dark and wishy-washy. I get so infuriated by claims. Quote, MRI showed X, and that means Y is innate, end quote. No, it effing doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I know someone who's studying neuro. Oh my fucking god, my brain. What is the word? Neurochemistry? No. Neuroscience? No. I don't know. Basically, all she studies is the brain, but she's not an MD. And like all of her masters and PhD, she's like 99% of what I do is look at brain scans. And I'm like, that is not Cantor's specialty. Like when he started looking at the brain scans of, he said this in one of his voice interviews. Like he was just like in a very like he was in the right place at the right time basically. Somehow during his like PhD, he did something with where he was taught to read brain scans and had to read brain scans for something else. And then but he was a sexologist, and like basically he said that at the my god, what was CAMH called before? Whatever. There the clinic where Blanchard, Zucker, and all of them worked and did all the like foundational stuff about transsexualism in the 80s. Um, but basically, he was the only one who was a sexologist and had experience reading brain scans. So they were like, "You're the one to do this." Um, and not to like, I don't know this about James Cantor, but I'll just say this: if he hasn't been like constantly, like really seriously updating his knowledge about the brain, everything he has to say is pointless and stupid. Because like really, like literally, what we know about how to read the brain now versus 10 years ago is radically different. So if he started looking at his brain scans in like the early 80s, like does he just have like a really archaic way of viewing it, or has he like, do you know what I'm saying? That's one of the things I think about him sometimes. Oh my god. Kermit says some John opened a brothel in Germany for lesbians and it was shut down. probably because no business, and then like the face slap emoji. That is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. They must have assumed that lesbians are basically men because they're fucking stupid. Okay. Stop Lying says a lot of these conservative GCs very conveniently forget how many TRA women are straight or bi and just calling themselves lesbians. Not that some lesbians aren't doing it too, but yes. I think that the GCs, when it comes to homophobia, they can be very selective in their memory. I agree. Hugo Chavez says, I can't imagine women enjoying sexually exploiting other women. I can imagine women doing it, but enjoying it, yeah. Okay. Kiara says, straights always want to prevent young girls slash women from masculinizing themselves in general so they can adhere to heteronormative lifestyles. Yes, I totally fucking agree. Like, I think a lot of GCs, they think the purpose of, like, this is basically how I view it in very, very broad strokes. Irreversible damage is marketed as if its purpose is to point out the like, you know, social and medical implications of medically transitioning young girls, right? But really what it's about is enforcing normality to me. Like, really. Um like, she pays lip service a couple times to, like, you know, like, it would be better if your kid could be like a gender non-conforming lesbian than being a trans man. But then, like, later on in the same chapter, she'll be like, yeah, because, you know, that kid now has the chance to grow up and marry a man and have a baby, so now she has a chance at happiness. And I'm like, so you like, the book is not about stopping girls from being transitioned. The book is about making sure that girls stay in traditional roles. Really, that's how I read it, at least. Stop Lying says having to go in looking like het couples. I hate how much we had to hide, and we're right back to having to hide our homosexuality just in a different way. Totally fucking agree. Lita, I'm not sure. Lita said the homophile stuff AM went on about was actually really interesting. Did Artie Morty talk about the homophile movement in one of the episodes? Ugh, Dragon, I forgot that Cantor did that thing with TVO. Ugh. It's also creepy to me, how much Canadian media, like, that BBC show did that episode on James Cantor and his virtuous pedophile stuff, and the TVO did that episode on that. I feel like Canadian media is, like, very captured, or at least state-run Canadian media is very captured with this whole friendly pedophile bullshit. Wait, is Erin Brewer against Gen Spec? She has criticisms of Gen Spec. I'm not keeping up with these things anymore. Hugo says, are you friends with any Tiffs or Tims IRL? I recently befriended a Tim, and I'm having to hide my power level. Nope. Um, Yeah, I've been in social situations where there's like a friend of a friend who's a trans, um, or like I've interacted at work, or one of my jobs, with like some NBs, but no, it's not like I avoid them. Honestly, this is the way. Okay, this is the way my social life works. Are you ready? I have like 6 very close personal friends, and then I have like a second group that are like friends, but like I'm very bad at keeping contact because the people in this group, it's like a fucking huge group. Like it's really, really big and it's like from all over the world and stuff. So like if you don't text me, I probably won't text you unless it's like your birthday or something. Um and then I have like a lot of acquaintances. And really it's like I prioritize the women in group one. That these are the people that I like answer their texts every day and talk to them every day. And like the friendship group, I am like I have like 3 jobs and I do this. Like I am, and before this I was doing like advocacy and activism in a couple different arenas at the same time while having 2 or 3 jobs. Like I don't have the fucking bandwidth to like some of you guys are doing this Zoom thing once a week now and you keep inviting me and it's like that's really nice and everything, but I literally don't have like the energy or the time to like and some of you are like quite friendly and I'm like, who even was it recently? There's somebody that I'm emailing with recently. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice if we could be friends. And then I'm like, I don't have time. Like, I literally, there is this girl from one of my old jobs that we were like friends, and my and then when we both left that job, well, this was from McDonald's. I made friends with this girl at McDonald's. We both left McDonald's at the same time, and we were like, let's stay in contact. Like, no matter what, like, we weren't just work friends. We're like real friends. And like, literally in the last couple of weeks, she'll text me and be like, "Yo, what's up?" And then I think, okay, is there a time this week we can hang out? And I'm like, well, if I shift this thing to the morning, then I have like 2 hours on the afternoon of this day that I could theoretically go and see her. Like that's the level. And I'm like, I literally came to the conclusion I do not have the time to be friends with this woman because I have too much crap and too many friends already. So my point is I'm so busy and I curate my social time so specifically that I don't think I would expand my social or emotional energies on a Tim. And I think I've like been very emotionally triggered by stuff to do with tips in the past. So like I wouldn't put myself in that position. Oh no, not BBC, sorry, CBC, the Canadian one. I was talking about Canadian media. I don't know about this like Aaron Brewer and Jen Speck stuff. But what I can tell you is that Aaron Brewer has had some like significant fallings out with some significant figures in the GC movement. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's more of the issue than actual gen spec. But like I said, I don't really know about all this stuff. Beansprout says, just on Aaron's getter, how in the F can people continue to say, where is the evidence? His whole effing tweet account is evidence of the other public statements. Oh, you're talking about the stuff to do with cancer. Hugo Chavez says, "Oh yeah, International Women's Day is coming up in March. I'm considering volunteering my muscle. I'm going to find the GC Radfems. I'm going to act as their bodyguards from rabid TRAs and Tims. Because Hugo, you're in Spain, right? Or are you in Mexico? You told me in a stream where you're from. I remember Spain is one of the countries where like the Radfems actually got like physically attacked. Right? It was Spain and France last year. I'm also going to be doing a Women's Day thing. I think I might live stream it. Like if I protest, um, if I go to a protest on Women's Day, I think I might live stream it. What is the humble brag commutatio? I didn't mean to like be like. I feel like humble brags are kind of manipulative. I try not to do that. Kiara says, "Okay, Kiara, I'm going to answer this and I'm going to wrap up the stream because I've done 3 hours of streaming. Like, ideally I would be unconscious in the next hour so that I can get a decent night's sleep before my like none. I start work at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow and I finish work tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. before my work day tomorrow." Um, I think Dragon says CBC captured broadcasting cultists. That is one of the things that people say in Canada about the CBC. So Kiara says, I have an NB friend, and the last time I hung out with her, she just started tea, and she said she was quote unquote mostly lesbian. As someone who is bisexual, ugh. Why are all of these bisexuals so ashamed to be bisexual? And it's also bizarre when like lesbians are treated like shit, and you want to like identify as a lesbian when you literally know you're a bisexual. It's so fucking bizarre to me. And yeah, now that she started tea, like her behavior might change, not even necessarily because of the tea, but because of like a placebo, because she believes she's like closer to being a man now, or is like better at being a man now, or whatever, or more masculine now. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry that your friend has started doing tea. And like, Kiara, you're a lesbian, right? Like, it's kind of fucking offensive for a bisexual to say that to you. Hugo says I'm from Melbourne. Oh, I don't know. I thought you were from somewhere like Spanish speaking. Oh, Leader, you're also Australian? Wait, Kermit, are you also in Australia? There's like 3 Australians in here. What are the chances? What are you all doing up at 7 a.m.? Um. Oh yeah. Okay. So about that, it's like a housekeeping thing. Um. So when I get to 40 patrons, because like half of the people here are my patrons. I get to 40 patrons. I'm my like whatever the prize you get for helping me get to that goal is that I do like a Zoom party with the 40 patrons. I have realized that with time zones, that might be like impossible. If we have to accommodate North America, Europe, and Australia at the same time, what time of day works? So I thought maybe I'd have to split it into two Zooms in two different time zones. It might also be better just for the number of people. I think in the future it might be more realistic to have like a Discord party rather than a Zoom party. I'm not sure. Um, I've never been on a Zoom with more than like 8 or 12 people or something. Actually, maybe like whatever though. I've never been on like a big Zoom, so I don't really know how that works. Um, it's 11. I thought it was a 12-hour difference. I guess it depends which part of Australia you're in. Because I used to be like BFS with this Australian boy, and we were like exactly 12 hours apart. Okay. Yeah, I think a poll is a good idea. I'll do a poll on my Patreon. Okay. So, thank you very much for coming to my stream. Okay, so I might do a live stream on Wednesday. Yeah, depending on how the day goes. But I will definitely I will definitely do a live stream on Friday. Komatashi says, "Well, I have too many friends. I'm so busy." That's a bit braggy, isn't it? But it didn't come off as manipulative, so don't take it that way. I just meant like I'm like a friendly person that I talk and I fucking talk a lot. So like within one conversation, we can become like, "Oh, gee, we're friends now," and then it's like, but I talk to you like 4 times a year because, like, I don't know. Also, I'm just very ADHD brain. You know what I mean? It's like what's in front of me is what I'm thinking about. Anyway, okay. Um. So I will see you all later in the week. I think that I might make my Friday or Sunday streams like a scheduled time. Yeah, because wouldn't it be better for people to show up if I was like every single Sunday? It's at like 1 p.m. or something, right? Okay. Anyway, okay. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you later in the week. Okay. Bye.